Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report. Today, first game of the Astra Militarum versus Space Wolves and Raven Guard Space Marines in a maelstrom of war tactical escalation. Let's begin. Welcome to another battle report. 1,500 points of Astra Militarum have deployed against the Empire for some reason. So we have Thunderwolves, Champions of Fenris, with a Librarian with Invisibility, in with a Thunderlord and a lot of nasty stuff, a Forge World Dreadnought, a regular autocannon Dreadnought, scouting and infiltrating scouts in a storm, a scouting Rhino from the Raven Guard, and some scouting tactical Marines. There are 6 objectives in the yellow, and they are the objectives we are fighting for this game. The Imperial Guard have decided they want to go first, so they deployed first. And it is Night Fight turn 1. Will the Space Wolves attempt to seize the initiative? They will, indeed. Do they seize?
No.
They don't. Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, turn 1. Began with the senior officer issuing the last cannons to bring it down, killing the Rhino that had scouted up, gaining the Imperial Guard overwhelming firepower for 1 point and 1 point for first blood. Then he ordered the autocannons from Platoon 1 to fire into the advancing scout storm, blowing it out of the sky, resulting extra firepower killed 3 of the scouts and they fell back. The Marines under firepower were pinned and are now stuck in the dust, while the Manticore killed 1 of the mighty Thunderwolves with its missiles, and the Plasmacutioner opened up, putting 1 wound on the storm-shielded Thunderwolf Lord. In other news, the conscripts have moved around, and that's about it. Let's move on to Space Wolves, turn 1. The scouts rallied and moved up towards the hill, while the Dreadnought with autocannons fired through the ruins into the Manticore, the shells pinging off its armor. The Librarian cast invisibility on the Thunderwolf Death Star, while also making them fearless for the turn. Sporadic shooting saw 7 of the conscripts go down during the night fighting, and the flanking force of Wolves with an Iron Priest are moving up the flank. So we're moving on to Astra Militarum, turn 2, and they are reserves to arrive. Thanks to my Warlord trait, D3 units are outflanking. I picked my Vendetta, and I picked my Veterans as well. So we have a Vendetta that has a unit of Flamers in it, trying to come in, and it does. And we have a unit of Veterans trying to come in, and it does not. So we're moving on to Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, turn 2. The platoon moved up in the ruins. The platoon command squad, Flamers, got out, killed 4 out of the Marines, 3 out of the 4 Marines in that unit. No damage to the scouts, no damage to the Dreadnought in the back. The platoon commander ordered the unit to suppress move after they shot, which was kind of cool. So they shot and then moved over. Oh, that's from the platoon commander. The conscripts were joined by the Commissar Lord, and they ran into the invisible unit. The priest made 5 out of 5 re-rollable invulnerable saves in a challenge to gain Hungry for Glory by issuing a challenge for a point. In the other shooting, the Plasmacutioner gave itself a hull point and blasted 4 out of the 5 Marines out here. And the Vendetta moved in and put a hull point on the Forge World Dreadnought, while the Manticore killed 2 of the Wolves in this unit, and they fell back, surprisingly. So, 3 points to 0 points. The Imperial Guard hold strong, and the conscript will probably die a horrible death this turn. The scouts moved up, opened fire, killing 2 of the flamers. The lone marine tried to charge in through a wall of flame and died a horrible, hideous death, while the autocannon dreadnought on the flank fired into the last cannons in the building. They went to ground, but he still succeeded in killing 2 bases. These wolves moved up after the kerfuffle from last turn, while the Forge World Skyfiring Dreadnought put 1 hull point on the Jinking Vendetta, and the Marine back here ran down and hid behind the building. In combat, I chose not to do any prayers, and the Thunderwolves killed everyone, consolidating 1 inch, and invisibility did not go off this turn. So we're moving on to Astra Militarum, turn 3, with no points gained for the Space Wolves once again. Does the reserve arrive? It does. The veterans shall be outflanking. Astra Militarum, turn 3. On the flank, the outflanking Melta veterans blew up the offending dreadnought. The platoon commander ordered his flamers to flush the scouts off the hill, and they did, while the entirety of the rest of the army fired into the clumped-up Thunderwolves and put 1 more wound on the commander and killed 1 of the Thunderwolves. Failed to do any more damage. The Vendetta went into hover mode and moved behind cover, failing to do any damage to the Forge World Super Dreadnought, while the Special Weapons team with Flamers got out, killed the last remaining Marine, gaining Objective 6. And in a feat of heroism, the last cannon was ordered to get back in the fight by the senior officer and ran down to claim Objective 3, gaining another 2 points for the Astra Militarum this turn. So, Space Marine and Space Wolf, turn 3, does the little Storm Talon arrive from reserve? It does, to provide some air superiority to the game. The Storm Talon moved up and destroyed the Manticore with firepower. The Librarian invisibilitied himself, and they all decided to charge into this big unit of guardsmen, but Overwatch killed the Librarian, who happened to be at the front of the pack, and the guardsmen succeeded in putting 1 wound on the Wolf Lord, even though the unit is invisibilitied. The Wolf Priest charged in, blew up the company command squad's Chimera. Oh no. Sergeant Vland Karstein von Super Dude is now out of his ride. Some wolves charged into the last cannon and put 1 wound on it, but the last cannon team killed 1 wolf, so it's a tied combat. While this dreadnought failed to do any damage, lasting damage to the Vendetta, putting 1 hull point on it and stopping it from shooting next turn. In other news, the combat continues as the priest passed a fail lookout sir save to stay alive and hold the entire unit in combat. We're moving on to turn 4. The Plasmacutioner valiantly saved the company command squad from his imminent doom by murdering the Iron Priest and all the Cyber Wolves. The Wolves finally killed the last cannon, denying me Objective 6, while the Special Weapons team has captured Objective 3 once again for another point. The Vendetta zoomed again and snapshot into the little Storm Talon, putting 1 hull point on it with a glance, while the units have re-embarked in their chimeras, ready to advance on the remnants of the Space Wolves, who are still stuck in combat with a priest and a lot of guardsmen. I did gain Objective 4 twice this turn as well, bringing the grand total to 8 points to 1. To 2. 8 points to 2 to the Space Wolves. We're moving on to Space Wolf, turn 4. The Thunderwolves continue to kill lots and lots of guardsmen. The priest made another save, saving him from a big Thunderhammer hit. The Space Wolves have gained lots of points this turn, bringing their total up to 5, so they're back in the game, 5 to 8. Secure objective 6, boosting over with the Storm Talon, secure objective 2, or whatever that one is, 5 right there, and the Dreadnought blew the Vendetta out of the sky. So we're moving on to Imperial Guard turn 5, could be the end of the game. The Priest finally said the prayers right, and they rerolling saves, holding them in combat for one more turn. Plasmacutioner blew the wolf unit to oblivion, gaining Assassinate for killing a character Cyberwolf. The commander moved back and ran, securing objective 4, while the Chimera with the platoon command secured objective 5, and the Chimera blew the little flyer out of the sky. 3 melter guns from the veterans failed to do any damage against the Dreadnought, and the Imperial Guard have gained 3 more points, bringing their total up to 9, 10, 11 in total against 5. Let's see if the Space Wolves can pull something out at the end of the game. The Thunderwolves finally destroyed the Priest and ran the rest of the Imperial Guardsmen down, consolidating 4 inches. The Mortis Contemptor Dread moved up, taking objective 2 for another point. So the Space Wolves have gained another 2 points, bringing their total up to 7. So the score is 7 plus Linebreaker 8 to 11. So, will the game continue on to turn 6? It does. Go on to turn 6. Astra Militarum, turn 6. The Plasmacutioner did 9 wounds on the storm-shielded Thunderwolves, and they passed all 9 wounds. And then the rest of the shooting proceeded to do absolutely nothing against the 3 models remaining. But the Imperial Guard did gain another 4 points, capturing objective 2 with objective secured, capturing objective 5 again, capturing objective 1, and a 1 point for supremacy. So we're moving on to Space Wolf turn 6. Could be the end of this epic showdown. Space Wolf High Command ordered the Space Wolves to be the stuff of legends and make a name for themselves. So, a character killing a vehicle got D3 points for 3. Because of his warlord traits on the strategic table, he was able to re-roll the D3, getting him 3 points for killing my tank. He also gained objective 4, and he was able to get Warlord and Kingslayer by slaying the company commander with the assault cannons, bringing the grand total points to 15 points. And the grand total points to 15 points for the Astra Militarum. If the game finishes, this will be a draw. Does the game go on? It doesn't. The game ends on a draw. What a fantastic, epic end to what was an amazing showdown. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Skari, your grateful host. We're on a quest to hit 8,000 subscribers. So, if you like what you see, click the little button that shows up right here. Also, in the links down below, there is a link to the Astra Militarum Tactica series that I am working on the channel, so check that out. And Sean, any last words of wisdom?
No, I'm sorry, I got nothing, Riz. I'm kind of still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I pulled a tie out of that.
It was awesome. That's why you never stop playing until the very end of the game. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned for the Tactical Corner. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. So, playing the Astra Militarum for the first time, I ran a list that was quite varied platoon, veterans, some tank support, really with the models and miniatures that I had available. Playing against the Space Wolves with Thunderwolves, I knew I was going to have to stall them eventually. So my plan was to hold them up with the larger blobs and try and get as many points as possible throughout the game with the other units. The priests were invaluable in keeping the squads of guardsmen around long enough as they sacrificed themselves dearly against the Thunderwolves and things like the Plasmacutioner Lehman Russ doing most of the damage. Towards the end of the game, because of the escalation style of the Maelstrom mission, the Imperial Guard Astra Militarum had a lot of points under their belt. And it was really the last turn where the Space Wolves were able to come back from a glaring defeat to a heroic tie, gaining about 7 points on the last turn that really turned the tide of battle. Couple of key things were not able to kill the Thunderwolves with the Plasmacutioner on the last turn, which then allowed them to come back and annihilate everything they needed to in order to bring it back from the brink of defeat. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.